don't be afraid to speak to locals in their native language. Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to give you a couple of tips on how to learn a language for travel, so just stay tuned. Alright, this first tip is really essential if you're an absolute beginner for any language. If you've decided to travel to a specific country, obviously you've sought out information about the country, maybe about the culture, or something draws you that you really want to go there. So I think an absolute great way to get into the language, not only to the language but also the culture at the same time, is to get a tutor, to get a native tutor. You can do so with italki. Italki is a great online platform where you can learn any language you want, like any language, with native teachers. From either at home, when you're traveling, or wherever in the world you are, you just need a Wi-Fi connection. So you can schedule the one-on-one lessons how you want them to be with native speakers and at any given time when it's perfect for you. All classes are customizable. That means you learn really what you want to learn and what is important to you. So if you want to go travel, like, you're learning everything that you want to learn to actually be able to speak and like have a new experience in the country where you're traveling to. And to make things even more affordable than they already are, click down my link in the info box below to get $10 off your first italki lesson, okay? A lot of people start learning through apps, like doing self-studies with apps. I think that's a good way, but if you really want to travel, I wouldn't say that it's the most efficient way. That's why I think having a tutor and having a native tutor especially helps you like not only get into the language but also get into the culture at the same time, which obviously is also going to help you understand the language more and advance in the language more. Self-study with apps will only get you so far because you don't really have someone to talk to and like to experience the things you're learning. The things you're learning won't help you if you're not applying them at the same time. And having a tutor who can at the same time be the person you talk to, person of reference in that language, is the best way. Alright, número dos. Number two is also very important. Most people want to travel, they just stay with the people they travel with. The travel group, for example, they travel with a group of friends, the family. It's like the typical all-inclusive traveler who goes to a country but doesn't really experience the country, doesn't really experience the people, the language especially, and the culture of the country that much. So it's basically just going there to do some sightseeing and then go back home. You didn't really have a connection with the people there, with the culture, not that much. That's, I think, essential if you want to learn a language, and especially if you want to travel to where the language is spoken. Get with locals as much as possible. Like, I always do that wherever I am. I try to get with locals, speak to them, talk to them, ask them things. The best way to get to know a culture is through the locals themselves. Like, go to them, speak to them, have conversations, like ask them about the culture, about the food, like everything. This is like the best experience. I mean, this is so important. You can watch so many travel videos and read so many travel guides, but nothing will come close to what people and their experiences will tell you. That leads me to the third point, which is avoid hanging out with your folks. Like, that means with folks from the same country or who speak the same language as you do. Like, I did that anywhere I went to. When I came here to Paris to study, when I went to Spain to be an au pair, when I went to study there, like, you wouldn't believe how many like Germans I encountered anywhere, but I always try to avoid them. I came here to Paris first for an Erasmus student exchange, and I came here with my Spanish friends from my uni back home, and they were just staying with all of their group of friends who were all Spanish speakers all the time, like, and they would ask me to hang out with them because it's natural, we were friends. But I'm like, I'm here in France, I'm here in Paris, sorry, I don't want to speak like Spanish all the time, or either Spanish or German all the time. So I don't want to hang out with only the Spanish speakers or with the German. So I really need to make more French speaking friends, French friends. So that's what I basically did. So I hang out like the least amount possible with those people. Did like classes and went like to different events and like just try to make French speaking friends. And that's what helped me the most, because those people, after a year of staying here, they were still not really fluent in French, but I advanced so much in my language skills because I was just hanging around French folks. So please, if you travel, try to avoid the people who speak your language. I see that in hostels a lot. When you're in a hostel, their basic instinct is to stick to your people or people who understand you, who are also foreign, who speak your language maybe. But I think that's the worst thing to do. You don't want to just hang around those people you came with, or just like people who speak your same language, because you can have that back at home. When I traveled to Brazil, for example, I didn't know anyone. I met this Colombian girl who I made friends with on the first day on, but we were like, okay, we need to get to know Brazilians, because we can't just hang around like with Spanish folks or with people who speak English, but we need to get to know the locals. So what do? We go out, speak to people, and like make friends like that. Or the typical hotel stays where you're basically just in your hotel, you're just going out to eat and stuff like that. You don't really get to know any locals, and that doesn't really help if you really want to learn the language. That leads me to point number 4. Once you're traveling, that means your language studying doesn't stop there, but that's where it's actually applied. It's actually activated, like where it actually begins. Everything you learned prior to traveling, you're gonna have to apply and make trial and error that comes with it, and speak. Just speak. Don't be afraid to speak to locals, because I find that people always hang out with their group of people they feel comfortable with and speak their language, because they're afraid to speak to locals. Okay, I get that, but that will hinder you in so many ways, not only to improve your language skills, but also to get to know like the culture and get to know everything that locals will tell you and teach you about their place, which is so like full of knowledge and rich of knowledge that you can get to know anywhere. I experienced that myself. Like I've been to Morocco, Marrakesh like 4-5 times, and the best times were always with locals, because they taught me so much about the place, and they taught me like so much background information that I didn't know when I was just there with my 2 other German friends. Like, you see, so that's basically the richness of just making contacts with locals. Don't be afraid to speak to locals in their native language. 90% of the time they're like most helping and happy that you're even trying to speak the language. So take the advantage to fully expand language skills while you're in the country. All right, number 5, if you're traveling and you really want to push your language skills like to the best way possible, do homestays. Those are the best way to get to know local culture and practice your language at the same time. You can do that, for example, in Cuba. The homestays are way more popular than staying at the hotels, actually. So Cubans open up their home, well, they rent out like rooms or even whole apartments, and that's the easiest way to get into contact with them and talk to them and get to know like everything in their everyday life, right? And you wouldn't see that if you would just stay in a 4-5-star hotel and just like away from the things happening. So if you can, do homestays. They help so much. I did that in China too. It wasn't really in a homestay, but it was like with a Chinese student, and I learned so much also, like just living with her for a month. I learned about the customs, about like the food she likes, so many things, and we got to talk. She got to practice her English, I got to practice my Chinese. So I think that was the best way. But if you're just one person traveling by yourself, please like just take an Airbnb and go live with the local family. They rent out their room, and you will have so much opportunity to communicate with them in their language, practice also. That's always a great way to make memories. So if you want to know more about that, also check the description box. And last but not least, make friends. Make friends when traveling. Make local friends. That's the most important. Like, don't just make friends from abroad, but make friends from the country where you're traveling to. From almost any place I went to, I still have friends, like local friends who are from there. And that's the best thing, because you can always like stay in touch with them and practice your language skills. But then also next time you might travel there, you have already someone who knows the place, someone who can like maybe even host you, and you have someone to just show you around and help you, and just make genuine friends. It's so rich to have like friends from all over. That the world is small in this sense helps you so much also in your language skills, and that's what helped me in like 80% of my language skills is just like through speaking with friends, with native friends. Like, that's it basically. So I hope these tips were useful to you, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.